which AFC team is the Packers' doppelganger. And right now it's a landslide for the Steelers, which is important because it does seem more and more likely that Aaron Rodgers might end up with the Steelers. Brooke Pryor joined Get Up this morning, and he talked a little about this.
I cannot imagine that Aaron Rodgers was not aware that George Pickens could be traded. The Steelers have remained in constant contact with him since these conversations began about him potentially landing in Pittsburgh. Based on my conversations in the building, not only are the Steelers aware of what Rodgers has been dealing with in his personal life off the field, but I'm going to guess that that phone works two ways, and the Steelers have kept him informed of potential things that they could be going through. I don't think that this is a move that would catch Aaron Rodgers by surprise.
Okay, so actually the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that George Pickens was getting traded was Aaron Rodgers is for sure going to the Steelers because he now has his hands on this. Like, he is now like this guy. Because to me, George Pickens seems like the exact person that Aaron Rodgers would not get along with. Am I wrong? Like, I don't think he's a great route runner. I don't think he's going to be very reliable. I think he has an attitude that Aaron Rodgers is not going to want to deal with. I think Rodgers wants to be the top dog in that locker room. And I think that he's getting his handprints on this roster already.
Dog. Now, it does take a talented player out of the receiver room. Now, that could be fixed by Alan Lazard, which is one name that's been floated out there. The other one that is more interesting is Romeo Doubs. The Packers do have a little bit of a crowded wide receiver room. They drafted 2 wide receivers. Both could, well, Golden is expected to make an impact year one. Williams might likely have some sort of impact in year one. Christian Watson, maybe he makes his way back. You have Dontavion Wicks, and you have Jaden Reed. Do I have everyone there? That's
Tucker Kraft you could throw in there too as a receiver.
Yeah.
So Rodgers, late January, had some
January 2023.
January 2023 had some thoughts on Romeo Doubs.
So this was
and their relationship, and maybe not hanging out with Romeo Doubs outside of the locker room because Romeo Doubs was he kind of commented on it.
100% attendance on every team party. I don't know that every person can say that on the squad, so that's a chance to hang out with me in those venues. I'm damn near 100% every single line dinner. We do some dinners on the road, so I feel like I spend a lot of time with my teammates, and I love that time. Now, there's obviously ones you're closer with than others. You know what those guys have in common, especially Mace and Dave and Randall, is they're in their 30s. The things that I'm thinking about and doing and spending my time doing are a little probably different than a 21 and 22-year-old. I love Romes. I mean, I enjoy playing with Romes. I enjoyed our conversation in the room. I enjoyed seeing his personality come out. But there's 2 types of leaders, and there's leaders that want to be liked first and foremost and respected second. And there's leaders that want to be respected first and foremost and liked second.
I think good leaders do both, but whatever. I mean, like equally.
I'm in a serious relationship.
Like, you can be liked and respected.
Yes. 100%. I just let's not try to pretend like they were friends. Let's not try to pretend like, it was just an on-the-field relationship. Because, quite frankly, I don't think that they had an on-field relationship either. Because there was, like I said before, there was constantly times that if Romeo didn't run the right route, or if he dropped a ball, or if I feel like that was the point in time where different receivers were actually like running into each other almost, essentially, because nobody was running the correct route. Like, Aaron Rodgers' eyes were rolling to the back of his head every freaking game. Like, let's not.
Yeah, I guess there's been some smoke around the idea of Romeo Doubs going to the Steelers. I don't quite understand it. Maybe that smoke is coming from people who don't know their interpersonal relationship, but also that was a couple of years ago. Romeo Doubs now 25, so a little bit closer to that old man status.
Aaron Rodgers also creepy up on 45.
True.
Aaron Rodgers has aged at the same rate as Romeo Doubs.
Yes. Like they are still the same age gap apart. I understand that he's not as immature, probably.
The way that Molly said it, though, he has aged basically twice as fast as Romeo Doubs.
Well, a lot's changed about Aaron Rodgers over the last few years, guys.
Is he aging in dog years now?
Well, I mean, come on.
Isn't it Achilles?
Relationship.
True.
He's might be married.
Regardless, Romeo Doubs is, I think, a candidate to be traded. I did ask ChatGPT if they traded the Doubs to the Packers, if the Packers traded Doubs to the Steelers, what would they get? If the Green Bay Packers were to trade wide receiver Romeo Doubs to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they likely expect in return a range of what do you want to say?
I'll say A 7th-round pick. Molly?
You are underestimating it.
Let's say a 5th to be nice.
And it says 4th or 5th. So if I was really doing
That's
this, and it does talk about his off the field concerns and everything.
He had injuries and he was suspended the one game for not showing up.
I would say it would probably
Ghosted
be
the team.
a conditional 5th, like a 5th that could be a 4th. Like that's maybe that
Based
middle
off
round.
playing time and maybe like production.
Yeah.
What round was he drafted in?
He's 4th-round pick. He's 4th-round pick. I mean, he's coming up on his 4th season now too. So he'd have 1 season left on his contract, which if they can get a 4th-round pick for a 1-year rental for the Steelers,
I would take it.
That's
agree.
worth it for the Packers.
I just don't think they're going to.
I think it's at best a 5th with a 4th-round player incentive. Hey, if you hit these benchmarks. Like when the Bears traded Justin Fields to the Steelers, it was starting or playing at 60% of their snaps. And so he came close, but he didn't get there, so then it stayed as a 6. It could have gotten as high as a 4th. So it very well could be a very similar trade that the Bears did with the Steelers. And honestly, it was an all or nothing. It was either a 6 or a 4th, and you had to hit the big number. So you could see something like that, too, where Romeo Doubs goes to the Steelers, and if he hits some high threshold benchmarks, it turns into a 4th, but if he misses them, it's a 6th.
Think how many Wisconsin connections there would be on the Steelers roster. We neglected to even talk about the Badger connections that are on the Steelers right now too.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Keanu Benton, friend of the show.
Keanu Benton,
Watt.
TJ
Watt, yep.
Nick Herbig.
Yep.
I mean, Isaiah Loudermilk is also there. I think they signed a former Badgers linebacker. I mean, they used to have Joe Schobert. I don't know if they have a current Badgers linebacker or former Badgers off-ball linebacker, I should say. But yeah, all over the place. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, Jim making the point about the conditional draft picks. Not odds are. They're trading for Romeo Doubs, theoretically, the Steelers are, for his number 2 receiver. Because, they did acquire DK Metcalf this offseason, so it's not like he's shouldering a big load. And he might just have to, they might just ask for 500, 600 yards out of him as a number 2, depending on what their offense is like. And, that could be very important when it comes to hitting those conditional benchmarks, too. We did talk about that Rodgers, he didn't have the greatest relationship off the field, obviously, because the age gap that has stayed the same age gap over the last, 3 years. But there was another time he was on the Pat McAfee show in October of 2022 when he was still playing with Romeo Doubs in his rookie season. He did compliment him quite a bit for some of his actual, off-schedule playmaking, which we know Aaron Rodgers really appreciates. We can listen to his commentary right now.
Learning, we still got to get him to be a better intermediate route runner. He does a nice job on the deep balls, stacking and creating separation. Obviously, he's in tune with the back shoulder if that's necessary. He had one in preseason and had some in training camp. The best part is, before that play, I looked over him and made a check. Now, it wasn't a real easy one. Thankfully, I've made the same check to him in one-on-one drills during training camp.
Here we go.
And this is when I talk about it a lot. The ability to recall things that happen from practice and be able to, in a snap, execute them in a game is one of the most important qualities in earning trust from myself and the offense and getting the ball thrown your way. So, before the snap, I made kind of an arbitrary, semi-vague-ish, unless you understand the entire nature of what I'm doing. And he, whether he did this subconsciously or whether he was expecting this, he had gotten that check before, ran the appropriate route, and the ball obviously was in a decent spot, made a beautiful hands catch. And it's a fun play to go back and laud a guy like that for his ability to recall what I want in that situation and then to go execute. Now,
and that's also for a touchdown catch he had against the Patriots in October of the 2022 season. He talks a lot about trust there, and that's important to Rodgers.
The trust tree. Meet the parents, meet the Fockers sort of reference there.
Circle of trust.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, but I thought there was a trust tree, too. Is it just a circle
Maybe,
of trust?
I don't know.
I thought trust tree was like the Ravens and Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson.
I know it's a circle of trust, but then I thought there was a tree, but maybe not.
We know Rodgers keeps his circle tight. That's a tight circle.
It is a tight circle, just like the Packers, LaFleur and Jordan Love, their personalities.
It's not tight. I'm not tight.
What do you mean? It's fine. We are talking about Aaron Rodgers because the Steelers made a trade of George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. which then starts to kind of add a little more fuel to the fire that Aaron Rodgers will end up on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we did ask you what team is the Packers' AFC doppelganger over the last 30 years, and in the landslide, it's been the Steelers. So there is some synergy here, and Romeo Doubs could be an expendable piece for the Packers. Contract, production, injury, off-the-field stuff could make him someone the Packers are willing to deal. To the Steelers, Aaron does like familiarity, even if it is an up-and-down relationship with Romeo Doubs. Alan Lazard is another name floated, who is, to all shock to me, still on the Jets, that he could be a guy that they would trade for.
He's a good blocker.
A bag of footballs, I would imagine. I don't know what you're getting. A conditional 7th-round pick for Lazard? Like, if he plays a certain amount of games, it's a 7th rounder. Otherwise, you just get him for free? I mean, were you surprised he was still on the Jets?
I knew he was on the Jets because he restructured his whole contract a few months ago, and it was a big. Like, he basically took like a $10 million pay cut to stay with the team.
I'd bet. I don't know. I mean, yeah,